All right, let's go to policy land. Let's go to crypto policy fights in Washington, D.C. And we have our players shaping up in this titanic matchup of the meeting is with the minds here, okay? We got Gary Gensler and the SEC on one side, and we got all of the bag-holding venture capital firms in Silicon Valley taking the other side. Right here, we have Andreessen Horowitz, perhaps the biggest of the crypto bag holders in Silicon Valley, saying, hey, we're going to meet with Washington policymakers. We're going to talk about the future of crypto, and we're going to talk about how they can regulate it in a way that works going forward. So this is really interesting. We've sort of seen dribs and drabs of this over the past few weeks, but now we're getting more detail as to what is going to occur here when we talk about crypto regulations in DC. I'm going to kick this straight to Will. I think it's interesting that we're seeing these players shake out the way we are, and that A16Z of all people may be, the folks carrying the torch for the crypto industry in the U.S. going forward. What's your initial take on this story today?
Totally. There's been a lot of headlines this year that I did not see coming, and this is one of them. Silicon Valley is no friend of Washington, D.C., and vice versa. So I'm interested to see if there's anything beneficial that comes out of this meeting besides more mudslinging. Just kind of like going back and looking at the history books. Washington, D.C. has always blamed Silicon Valley for problems in the U.S. economy or problems in U.S. social life. And Silicon Valley has always tried to push itself away, tried to say, like, we are creating new technologies that are benefiting everybody. I think we've mostly seen that very acutely with Facebook over the last few years. I don't see why the conversation would be any different when it comes to crypto. We've seen a lot of people be firmly anti-crypto, especially in the regulatory front. Maybe that there's some cooler heads that prevail. We are seeing some kind of lines being drawn up across political divisions. We've seen that Senator Ted Cruz was just down at the Austin Blockchain Council's meeting talking about Bitcoin mining and talking about other things pertaining to Bitcoin and saying, like, hey, this is an innovation that we need to jump on and be pro for. If China's banning it, why are we not for it? I've also seen like Andrew Yang has come out and said, hey, we need to be helping this technology. We don't need to be hurting it. But we also have people like Gary Gensler on the other side who are not big friends of it. So just to wrap up, don't have a lot of high expectations for this meeting. Jen, I'll throw it to you.
I also don't have high expectations, but I think the thought is there. I mean, Andreesen Horowitz has so much money. I know. They have so much money on the line, so this isn't surprising to me. I mean, they don't want to get into a situation where their investments are out-regulated and then they lose the billions of dollars that they've been funneling into the industry. I think it's important to tell our audience what Web3 entails. It's not only financial services, but it's decentralized social. It's like a whole decentralized ecosystem. And this article was kind of funny to me because I was like, regulators haven't really figured out how to oversee Web 2 yet. And now we're going to introduce Web 3. And they've really been focusing on the financial side of it. So I don't really think they're going to be able to wrap their heads around it. I agree with the fact that we need regulation, but I don't think anything good is going to come out of this. But Zach, I'll pass it back to you.
I'll take it. You know what? I'm bullish on this. I think A16Z has hired everyone in crypto. They know their stuff. They have Katie Hahn, who's a former U.S. prosecutor. I think if anyone is going to move the needle on this one, it might just be them, and crypto is just going to have to deal with it. It's going to be interesting to see if they can really get Gary Gensler's ear as he looks to establish a pretty tight grasp over the entire crypto regulatory landscape. So the fact that they have some seasoned pros, I think they added Brian Quintens recently from the CFTC. They've been building towards this moment, and the moment is now. And I am here with my popcorn, and I am ready to hear the latest dribs and drabs from what comes of this meeting. And I'm optimistic. They've assembled some key minds from both past regulatory seats, but also from the industry itself. We're going to see what happens. And this story isn't going away anytime soon, but it's interesting, again, to get a bit more detail on the players themselves. So that's my take. I'm bullish.